5. Yes, week 5, college football pick'em on Chuck's Chat YouTube. I am joined, as always, by Matt Ferry, Ben Payonk. Gonna start because I feel like I need to address this right out of the gate before we get to records. I lost my first lock, Wisconsin minus 6.5. They did lose outright by 28 points. And what I wanted to say was to the fans and everybody in Chuck's Chat Nation, I'm sorry, extremely sorry. We were hoping for an undefeated season of locks. That was my goal, something I've never done here. But I promise you one thing, a lot of good will come out of this. You'll never see a handicapper in the entire country work as hard as I will work the rest of the season. And you'll never see someone push the rest of the team as hard as I will push everybody the rest of the season. And you'll never see a team play harder than we will the rest of the season. God bless.
Sounds like a tight end who just got cut
No,
from the NFL.
I just wrote that.
Oh. I thought it was that Tim Tebow.
Yeah, no, it was Tim Tebow. All right, so
I was like, wait, do I feel like an asshole now?
Yeah, no, it was Tim Tebow, and I just took out Gator Nation and replaced it with Chuck's Chat. All right, so now, yeah, that's tough to. I didn't know off the coin toss. Ben asked me that when he saw me. That's the old Rico Bosco when he had a 26-point favorite lose outright. But 28-point loss as a 6.5-point favorite was not good. I would like to add also that I kind of came up with that lock. This isn't. I love the pick. This doesn't excuse that.
You wanted to jinx it, so it was a win-win. That's
Sure.
why.
That's exactly it. But my original lock was going to be UNC, who lost by 23 or something as a 12.5-point favorite. So either way, I was
just a
coming
bad week.
I was
right?
coming in with the speech, right? Exactly. The speech was going to be made regardless of which lock I had. Records. All right. Last week, Ben 10-11 on the season, 36, 48, and 1, 43%, 3-3 on locks.
That's so bad.
This
is my week starts this week.
Right. The season starts
it's mid-season. Now, like, I got a feel for the teams. I might not lose another game.
All right. Me last week 6-10, 32, 33, and 3, 49%, 3-1 on locks. Ferry 10-7, 38, 29, and 1, 57%, 2-2 on locks. So Ferry is kicking ass and taking names on this show. And I did want to, before we get into top 10s and best performance, worst performance, I didn't really catch the West Virginia game. I saw the end of it. I want to hear your thoughts because obviously, could have won the game. If you wanted to brain dump your feelings and emotions from that tough one in Norman.
I call West Virginia my fifth Philadelphia team with how much pain and heartbreak they caused me in my life. It came down to a lot of penalties on the O-line all game. It was a disaster. Neil Brown defended them in the press conference, but it was inexcusable. You can't be those mistakes can't be the reason why you lose. You got to be ready to go for the biggest game of the year. I mean, you were winning 59 minutes, 59 seconds of this game, and then you lose the last second because of a field goal, which we're 0-9 against them in Big 12. It's just will I ever see one in the Big 12 win against them? Who knows? One can hope. Easy.
You will.
But I bonded over it with a fellow West Virginia alum at the bar, and we had high positive vibes the entire time. I watched the whole second half with him. Never talked to him again. Didn't even know his name. Didn't matter. But
was it your cousin?
Easy. No, it was not.
Oh,
but,
okay. Sorry, my bad.
No.
It was an honest question.
No. My cousin did not be blessed enough or cursed enough to go to West Virginia as well. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough,
Yeah. Ben, I didn't really have anything for you. Is there anything you want to say outside of what you originally started with on this program?
Sure. I mean, last week I was kind of down because Pitt lost to a terrible team. Not terrible, but a bad team, mid-major team. And then they kicked the shit out of
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire last week. So
Chip Kelly's old school.
I'm back on. I think the ACC is wide open. Unlike Ferry, I think Pitt has a shot to make a New Year's Six bowl.
Really? Okay. I like
Yes.
the energy. I like the energy today.
Kenny Pickett is a very good player. He's for some reason rated the 27th best prospect. I don't know why, but I think he'll lead this team to good things. Good quarterback makes a good team.
Agreed. That's what you need in college football. The rest can take care of itself.
Could he be a candidate on that final week in the
No.
ceremony? No. All right. Well, all right.
No, he lost to Western Michigan.
We are
without him.
No, I mean for a play or for like a series.
I thought he didn't finish the game.
No, he had a very good stat line, but he did play most of the game.
That changes. I was under the assumption that he was.
Yeah, he's not winning the Heisman.
Yeah, now I get that. Yes.
I do kind of feel bad that Clemson did lose to NC State because we're just 3 weeks away from Pitt Clemson.
Well,
I genuinely believe they have it. Like, if Clemson can't like move the football.
Oh, I
like if that was
something else. Oh, like
no,
the game.
No. Like we're so close to that game.
It's
like it would have been but it would have been so much cooler if they only had the loss to Georgia and like just found ways to win those other games.
I think Pitt could win the ACC. My column, the ACC is not very good this year.
I agree. Notre Dame. Would you say Notre Dame destroyed the conference from within?
And one could argue Pitt has the best quarterback in the conference.
You could argue that.
You could argue that.
So maybe.
Okay, so off the top, Fair, if you want to start with your top 10 and then also your winners and losers of the week.
Sure. I got top 10, Bama, Georgia, and then after that it's, but then 3 Oregon, 4, a little controversial. I'll put it in there, a little biasy, Oklahoma 4, Penn State 5, Iowa 6, Arkansas 7, Notre Dame 8, Cincy 9, Florida 10. I thought that, Oklahoma, I just think, throw the Big 12 team in there until they lose, just a little biased. That's, I'll admit it. It's fine. I also don't think Penn State's that great, but I also don't think Oklahoma's that great either, to be fair. I don't think Iowa, I don't see Iowa running the table either, and then Arkansas's schedule is obviously not, it's like they're not running that table, that's for sure.
They're going to get stomped this week. We'll get into that.
We will get into that. That's for
sure. We have all the same teams, just like different order. The one thing I think that you said was interesting, Penn State, their wins are going to look worse as the year goes on.
Yes.
Auburn should have lost to Georgia State.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
And then Wisconsin Graham Mertz might be the worst FBS Power 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
And he was a 5-star.
And they should have even lost that game.
Yeah. That is true. That is very true. I mean, and I think they won the Auburn game solely because of the whiteout. You know what I mean? Like that team is going to win these whiteout games. Like they're going to beat Michigan because of the whiteout. You know what I mean? Ohio State, if it was at home, they'd probably win just because of whiteout. Like being on the road in Ohio State, I mean, I still think Ohio State's going to win that game later on, but that's, down the road. That's
down the road.
That's way down the road. But I guess to go off of that, my biggest winner, I was between Arkansas and Notre Dame because no one else really had a big win in my opinion. Those are the 2 teams that I thought had the 2 biggest wins. I mean, Arkansas, being A&M, neutral site, home team, whatever, away team, whatever you want to call that. Jerry being Arkansas alum, maybe he did something to Jerry World the last 3 nights that there's been football there. I don't know.
He has had quite the weekend, Jerry Jones.
He's had a weekend, you could say. Okay, something seems a little off, but I'm just pointing out interesting facts here. But I think there was not really many other big winners besides Arkansas and Notre Dame. I mean, obviously we all watched that game. I mean, it was heartbreaking for me for having the under because I was like, oh my gosh, this is looking good. And
you got fucked big time.
The fourth quarter, Notre Dame just all of a sudden, brings out Pine and just blow them out. It made my under pick look like a atrocious pick, despite it looking like it was going to hit for 70% of the game.
Right.
But
What could go
nonetheless-
wrong did go wrong. It's
Yes.
13-10 in the fourth quarter. You got a kick return, 2 pick sixes,
Yes,
third string quarterback throwing. He had 1 or 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I forget what it was.
unbelievable. I mean, Mertz did his job though.
Right. Yeah. Graham Mertz did do his job.
But other than that, like when you look at it, like I don't consider Oklahoma a big win. I don't consider like all the these. There's no major upsets besides NC State, which I guess. But which leads me to the biggest losers. Just gonna say the ACC as a whole. I know I should. Oh, Ben, you can't even. Let's go over this. You know what I mean? Clemson
Pitt
obviously
had
being the obvious
77
loser.
points in their game.
What?
Pitt had 77 points.
All
They're
right,
the most
all right.
explosive offense in the nation.
Here we go. Clemson, obviously ruined their chances of, it's officially done for the playoffs. So that obviously hurts the ACC as a whole. I mean, the Florida State obviously continues to be an embarrassment, as we know. UNC obviously being absolutely embarrassed. I mean, you're talking about the biggest wins of the weekend for the ACC was Duke beating Kansas, and you're talking
No.
about Boston College storming the field against an unranked team. Those are the 2 biggest wins besides the Pitt 70-point win. But
We didn't storm the field.
this is what we're talking.
We've been here before.
maybe 70-point win might I guess prove that I guess that should be a storm the field. Why not?
There would have
Nah,
been
we've
more
been here.
players. There would have been more players than fans on the field if they stormed, though. It would have looked
That
weird.
is true. Big Boomer
Probably,
account
yeah.
hates the Pitt fan section. I mean, shout out Big
Yeah,
Boomer on that.
listen, it's tough when you don't have a stadium and you have to play in the. I love the big ketchup bottle, but it's just not home.
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, for all those reasons, ACC is the real loser. Clemson's the real, they're leading the way on that. But I guess the only, bad part for all the rest of us is Syracuse beating Liberty, but big win for ACC, I guess. But other than that, I just have one little note. I really gonna miss Texas Tech. That was a lot of fun. But
Agreed.
other than that, those are my takeaways.
Ben
So am I doing top 10
and winner and loser of the week.
so my top 10, I'm just gonna go 1 down to 10. Georgia,
Sure, yeah.
Alabama, Iowa, Oregon, Oklahoma, Cincy at 6, Ole Miss, Michigan, Kentucky, Michigan State. And I just want to throw an honorable mention to Arkansas. They're 11. Biggest losers, obviously the ACC kind of stinks if Pitt can win it. So they're a loser. Also, I'd like to say the Big Ten's kind of a loser too. Wisconsin and Penn State look very terrible. Despite what the ranking shows, biggest winners, Arkansas, glad they're back, kind of. I don't know if they were ever here, but
Aaron McFadden.
happy about them. I can dig Arkansas being good. And they're my only big winner. Nobody impressed me.
Yeah, I love your top 10. That's my
Thank
first
you.
comment. Shout out Michigan State. I'm glad that you have them in there.
Despite them not covering last week for most of us.
They should have, but
Yeah.
that was just bad beat.
That was
That
a
was-
bad beat.
I watched the game. It was tough to watch. Like they had multiple times to cover at the end, and they just didn't. It happens. I had Kentucky as a lock
the
too,
game.
though. Which
You did. You were 1-1 on locks. You have 6 locks so far in 4 weeks.
I'm done doing 2 locks.
Okay.
I'm calling it a quits.
Until further notice.
Yeah, until I love 2 games on the card.
All right. So my top 10, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Iowa. I'm starting to Iowa is now for me starting to be too high at 4, but it's hard for me to disrespect beating Indiana and Iowa State the way they did the first 2 weeks. You still like Iowa, but 4, they might not be there that much longer. We'll see this week at Maryland. Cincinnati, Penn State, Notre Dame, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Florida. After you said Ole Miss, I really wanted to throw Ole Miss in there.
Ole Miss.
Because I think they legitimately, I don't know who else they're really going to, I guess if you don't play defense, you can always, it takes one game of your offense looking like shit, which is possible. But, I mean, they look really good right now. Winner of the week, and this is going to sound, I kind of like to be out of the box on this. I think it might be Cincinnati. they were off this week.
Mhm.
If you're looking at Cincinnati coming into the season, their perfect scenario was one if Indiana would have beaten Iowa, which they didn't, but they still went and beat Iowa. The second would be if they played an undefeated top 10 ranked Notre Dame, which they now have. There is no way you can keep them out if they win this game and run the table, which they 100% could do. There
After
might
this game.
after this game. They could definitely. So I think that this is lining up perfectly for them. Like if Notre Dame had lost to, like they probably should have lost to Toledo, and the score against Wisconsin was fluky. It was not a 41-13 game, but they got the points. But this is the perfect scenario for Cincinnati. My biggest losers, twofold: Oklahoma, and there's no disrespect to West Virginia, and Clemson. Oklahoma, because at some point you just are what you are, and they were picked. I had them in my college football playoff coming into the season. I know a lot of people had them even as the national champion, thinking a big bounce back from Spencer Rattler. They were chanting for the backup quarterback. They might just be like, this just might be what Oklahoma is. And it's not good enough for Oklahoma. So they're my loser. I don't see them ever, looking like the Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield teams or Jalen Hurts team. Then also Clemson, there's another one, like at some point you just are what you are, and they're a team that just can't move the ball. They can't score at all. Their defense is really good, but they can't score, and they're still, because of the name, they're still going to get everyone's best shot, and now even more so because, hey, they're vulnerable. Let's go fucking beat Clemson. We can tell all of our recruits when they come to the big ketchup bottle to watch us play Georgia Tech that, hey, we beat Clemson.
Georgia Tech.
Like that just looks good. Oh, it's this week. Okay. Yeah. Whenever that game. But yeah, I think that's huge there. Coming into this week now, a lot of very interesting matchups. We'll start Cincinnati going to Notre Dame. All of these lines I wrote down yesterday, so they might be a little, yesterday. It's Tuesday today. Might be a little different now, but Cincinnati going to Notre Dame, 2:30 kick, plus 2.5. Notre Dame is a home underdog, over under 51. Ferry, I wanted to get your thoughts first on this one.
What was the line again?
I had Notre Dame plus 2.5.
Right. Oh, right. Okay. Now I remember. I saw that 2.5 as well. I think, as you said, Notre Dame has looked vulnerable. I don't know. I'm a big, Andy Reid believer with off the bye. Like when Cincinnati has had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. So unfortunately, I think Cincinnati's 2.5 is a good pick. If it was like 3.5, I just like it because of the football number, but I also like it because of the 2-week prep. So I think Cincinnati 2.5 would be my pick, without my bias in it or anything like that. But I think Cincinnati minus 2.5 because they've had the extra week.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm rolling with Cincinnati minus 2.5 for everything Barry said. I also think it's a big letdown spot for Notre Dame after a win that they probably shouldn't have. And now everyone might think, if you don't watch college football, you might be like, oh, Notre Dame has a shot to do something this year. Because I still don't think they're a very good team. I think Wisconsin is very bad too. And I think Cincinnati's had 2 weeks to prepare. I think they'll get it done.
Yeah, I'm going the opposite on this one. I have already bet Notre Dame money line. A couple things that I think are interesting with this game. The one, this is the perfect why you love college football matchup, because it's two teams both have to win or their seasons are what their ultimate goal coming into the season is wash. It's finished. You don't, in October, you don't generally get that because there's a lot of conference play. Oklahoma could have dropped one yesterday, ran the table, looked good, made it in, all the different scenarios like that. So that's one that I think is interesting. The second thing I think is interesting, Notre Dame defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman. It's his first year at Notre Dame. He just left Cincinnati last year.
That's a good nugget.
Thank you. So there's, outside of being on the Cincinnati staff, no one in the country might know Cincinnati better than he does, and he has a game plan for them. as a Notre Dame supporter, this is what I am fearful of. The offensive line still sucks. It has sucked since day one. It sucks today. If they lose, it's because their offensive line, Jack Cohn will get beat up again, get sacked 5 or 6 times. That is the reason they would lose. The encouraging thing is with Marcus Freeman, the defense, and it might just be because Wisconsin's offense is so terrible, but their defense looked very good last week. We'll see what they look like this week at home. And the other thing that I have, Brian Kelly is 5-2 at home as an underdog. I'm a home dog type of guy when the lines are like this. So I think, and with like, sometimes you have to remember it's college kids. Like, I'm gonna take, hey, Notre Dame has probably had 4 better recruiting classes than Cincinnati has, and just bet on probably the difference in talent. I still do think Notre Dame is a more talented roster than everyone they play this year, but this is Cincinnati Super Bowl. Anything, it's going to be an awesome game. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to watch it because I'll be at Penn State, but should be an awesome game to follow. Next matchup, Arkansas at Georgia. College game day. Georgia is an 18.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 48.5. Ben, we'll start with you.
I think I've got 2 picks I like in this game. I like the under, and I like Georgia. I think Georgia has been around the block, and they know they just should be kicking the shit out of everybody if they want to be 1. I think 1's really important to them in the college football standings, more so than Bama, especially since Bama had a close win against Florida last week. I think they think they're better than Bama, and they want to be 1, so they just might start kicking the shit out of people and not letting them score.
I like it. Ferry?
Yeah, it's a tough game. I mean, I think I want Arkansas just for, like, as a fan of the game, and I think I'm still going to go with it. I think I'm going to try to go for the safer pick. I'm going to take Arkansas first half. It's probably going to be like a plus 9.5. So I assume because it's like 18.5 or 18 or whatever it is. So I'm assuming it's plus 9 or so. So I'm just going to stick with Arkansas first half and kind of hope, I hope that they can keep it interesting till second half.
I like it. This game, I got a weird, like, Oklahoma LSU 2019 first round of the college football playoff feel with this, because the lines were very similar. I think LSU was a 15-point favorite. It's like, holy shit, like, why are they a 15-point favorite? And I think Vegas is telling us Georgia is going to kick the shit out of this team. They're a darling right now in the college football world because they've had some cool wins. They're coming out of nowhere. And it kind of feels like they're setting up to be steamrolled by a Georgia team that is just way more talented across the board, and their defense is just so good. I think Arkansas is going to have a lot of issues scoring this weekend. So I'm going to go Georgia 18.5. But I mean, I was wrong on Arkansas last week. So if Arkansas kept it close and scared Georgia, I would not be shocked. Next game, speaking of Wisconsin, Wisconsin is a 1-point favorite. I think it's moved since yesterday when I wrote it down. I believe Michigan might be a 1-point favorite. It doesn't really matter. But
Michigan's still 1-point dog. Because I looked at it.
Michigan's okay. And the over/under is 43.5. Ferry, walk me through this one here. I was trying to figure out the name of the stadium and it escaped me. But
yeah, it's something not like normal.
Camp Randall.
Hey, is that what it is? Oh, okay.
Camp Randall, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I guess Wisconsin's kind of, beat up from last week, and Michigan's still coming off a win despite, I think they should have beat Rutgers a little bit more. I don't know if you guys saw that the crowd was not big house. Like, you would think it would be like, sell out, like with them being a ranked team again. Like, if you saw some of those pictures that had like empty, sections and student section, like, I think that's kind of messed up. But nonetheless, I still think Michigan +1 is my pick because I don't think Wisconsin is that good. And as we have, keep talking about how bad Mertz is. So Michigan +1.
Wisconsin, I'm going to agree with Ferry, even though I don't like it at all. I don't even want to touch this game, but I feel like it's my duty to take Michigan +1. I don't like it. It's probably smart to take Wisconsin, but fuck it. I'm in.
Yeah, I mean that feels smart too. I'm definitely not playing this game. I'm 100%
I don't
not
want to
going to
bet
touch
this
this
game
game.
at all.
Yeah.
But if I were, I would definitely go Michigan.
I would take the under and then just pray is what I would do.
Like 10 unders,
yeah,
just
like
it's a formula.
yeah, it feels like a 10+ punt game incoming. So
Painful game.
I'll go.
A painful
Yeah,
game to watch.
yeah. So I'll rock with the under. Probably my favorite game on the board this week. Ole
Oh
Miss,
my God.
Alabama.
Oh, I thought you were going. I thought you were guessing.
No, transition. Ole Miss, Alabama. This game is going to be so awesome. I can't believe. Yeah, so 14.5 Alabama favored. Over under 77.5. Not only are these two battling on the field, but in the past week, we've seen Lane Kiffin follows one player on Instagram. It's Arch Manning. And then last night, Nick Saban was on ManningCast trying to get Arch Manning. Ben, we'll start with you for this SEC clash at Bryant Denny.
Before I even talk, I did not even know Lane Kiffin only follows Archie Manning on Instagram or Twitter, whatever you said. Love it. I love Ole Miss. I think they can win. Plus 14.5 is a lot of points. But I also, my official pick is the over 79.5 because it's, how can you not bet that?
For the
And
men's.
also Ole Miss plus 4.5. I think this is a crazy shootout. I think Ole Miss can keep up. I think it's close. I'm going to sprinkle a little money line just because of the value. But Ole Miss covers and the over.
I like it, Ferry.
Everything you just said, I completely agree 1000%. I literally
Uh-oh.
had the same exact thoughts. Literally,
Uh-oh.
This game reminds me of that A&M Johnny Manziel game when he went into Alabama at what, 2012, 2013, 2012, 20, like whatever that year when he had that crazy like pass to win the game. Like I could see like Corral, however you say his name, doing
Matt
one
Carroll.
of these Carroll,
It's
Corral, yeah, Golden
You
Corral.
better learn it when he hoists the Heisman.
Yeah, I'll just go with Golden Corral.
Could
It's
you
gonna,
imagine?
be like a-
A Matt-
Okay,
a
that
Matt-
I'm only gonna refer to him as that now.
Can
I
you-
love that nickname.
you imagine
Golden
if
Corral
Matt-
could
you imagine if Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett stood at the Heisman podium together?
oh man, that's a picture. That's gonna be a highly retweeted, liked picture on Twitter.
That would be a trivia question in 20 years when like neither of them do anything in the NFL and they're just like who were first and second in the 2021 Heisman. It's like, oh well, I know like Bryce Jones, like he's had a pretty good NFL career, like it might be him.
It ends up just being, oh my god. But they're gonna score 100 points. So I mean, I think before it gets to 80,
to score 100 points.
it doesn't matter what the line is. This is too much fun. If you like to gamble, you like points. you
This
like
might be
football.
this might be the best game of the season.
Agreed,
I'm just
completely.
putting it
fun.
out there.
100 points. It's got to happen. I also love the 14.5. And like you said, I might sprinkle money line too for the value, for all the same reasons. I love it. Johnny Manziel just remind me of that. That's my take.
I don't think we've ever unanimously agreed with all of the same reasoning because I love Ole Miss too. I love Ole Miss in this game. They're going to keep it in 14.5. This is once again, just like with the Florida game, it's a Bama tax. You have to pay a Bama tax in order to bet on Alabama, and Ole Miss it's going to be a 1-score game.
Yep.
And this is like Lane Kiffin revenge. No, none of his assistants have ever beaten Nick Saban.
I was just about to say that, and I was like, that's the only thing. That's the only thing.
Battle for Archie. Whoever
wins gets. Me and Ben were talking about this the other day. Ole Miss might be like the greatest destination for Arch Manning. Like I couldn't think of a more fun. Yeah, he would put up. I couldn't think of a more fun scenario than that.
It really would be. Like nothing would be better if he just tweeted out before the game. Whoever wins this game, what's going to happen. It'd be a little extra. Like give the people what they want. Come on, Archie.
And then obviously the over. I'm taking that too.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Will Greer versus Kyler Murray.
That's a heartbreak as always, but a lot of fun. As a fan of the game, it's a great game. It was a fun game.
As a fan.
Baylor at Oklahoma State. Since it's in your wheelhouse, Ferry, we'll begin with you on this. This is a little Big 12 ranked versus ranked matchup. Baylor's back now. Quick turnaround from Matt Rule. After Matt Rule.
Yeah, the basketball team got them all inspired. They got to, that yellow out. Did not know that was a yellow out last week with that pick I gave against them. That kind of sucked. But hey, I loved Oklahoma State last week as my lock of the week for different reasons. Not because I ever thought they were that great, but them being at home.
Mhm.
The line's kind of weird in my opinion. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma State first half because it could probably be like -1.5 or something like that. So I'm gonna go with OK State first half just because I think it's just that low, and hopefully Oklahoma State has that home field advantage to start the game.
Yeah. Oh, I do. Do you know what time this game is at? Because my opinion on it might change.
I believe it was a 7 o'clock game.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Okay, then I will lean Oklahoma State -4.
I like your thinking because I have that exact thinking for another game later on.
Okay. Oh,
This game's
I
at
think I know
7
where you're
p.m.
going with this.
Yeah, you probably do.
I know where you're going with this game
yeah.
too.
Ben, what do you think?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't watched either of these teams at all.
Neither do I.
They're not that great in my opinion.
I'm
but-
gonna roll with Oklahoma State -4. I'm not gonna even bet this game to be honest, because I literally haven't watched the teams. I'm gonna try to watch this game a little bit, like flip to it, but
Yeah.
I don't know anything. But I'm just gonna roll with Gundy at home. Why not?
Love that. Last game of the big games, Auburn at LSU. LSU coming off a win against Mississippi State. Auburn looking to bounce back after the scare against Georgia State. LSU is -3.5. Over under is 54. The game kicks off at 9 p.m., which is kind of crazy to me. Ben, we'll start with you. Death Valley.
I'm gonna. I think it's a bounce back spot for Auburn. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really watched LSU, or I didn't watch Auburn last week. Similar to last game, but I don't think LSU's that good yet, and I don't think Auburn's that good. I'd go the under. What's the under at? Out of curiosity.
54.
I'd probably roll under because the SEC. It seems like this year's gone pretty good defensively, unless you're playing like Bama or Ole Miss. Home spot. I don't think either QB is very good. I'll go under.
Ferry.
That's
I actually
interesting.
love that. I love this under. I'm adding it to the card. What was it?
54.
This is very interesting because I'm the quite opposite. I like the over because I think the adrenaline for both sides with that Happy Valley, night game, it's going to get the blood flowing for both offenses to get them going. Auburn already had the crazy whiteout atmosphere. They're not going to be phased by the Death Valley atmosphere. I think the adrenaline's just going to keep them both going. I think LSU's defense. I don't think LSU's defense is that great, and I think Bo Nix, he is what he is, and I think he might put up some points. So I think the adrenaline pushes both these teams.
Or just
Numbies,
points?
yeah. I think they put up some points just because of the adrenaline factor of that crazy Death Valley night crowd over 54.
Ferry, I'm glad you brought up Bo Nix because
He's the quarterback. How are we not going to bring him up?
he got benched against Georgia State. He got injured/benched.
However you wanna phrase it.
TJ Finley came in, who just transferred from LSU to Auburn.
I'm switching my pick right
past
now
season.
after this information.
They have not announced yet who's starting. TJ Finley may be going back to Death Valley in a revenge spot against his former team. So I won't bet it today, but I do like LSU -3.5 because the ranked team versus unranked home favorite in conference. So that is
System
why
play.
I'll roll with LSU. I do think also LSU people might be down on because of not only last year, but the UCLA storyline was kind of big. They went into UCLA and got beat. UCLA is not that good, which UCLA is what they are. But LSU might be turning around. They kind of got a good win last week against Mississippi State. I'll roll with LSU here.
After finding out this information about the Auburn quarterback situation, if Bo Nix plays, I will take the over because it's 9 p.m. If the backup plays, I'll take the under.
Yeah, TJ Finley.
Death
is
Valley
like-
chance would be. I think they go towards him and make it very hostile.
And TJ Finley's gigantic. He's like 6'7". He's huge.
So future
He's
John
a
Elway
gigantic quarterback.
is a future Bronco.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a future Bronco. All right. So now getting into the cards. Ferry. Now, Ben. Yeah, Ben. We'll start with you on your card. Everything but your lock.
Okay. So Iowa -3.5 at Maryland. I'm not sure why we didn't talk about this game earlier now that I'm reading my card, but I know this is probably a trap line, but I'm taking Iowa -3.5. I think they're gonna beat all the bad teams in the Big Ten. Tulsa -4.5 versus Houston at home, I believe. BYU -9 at Utah State. Big game from BYU, trying to stay undefeated. I think they're going to try to kick the shit out of this team. In-state rival as well. Syracuse +4.5 at Florida State. I'm doing the opposite of Chuck. I'm just going to bet against Florida State every week because they stink. Tulane -4.5 at East Carolina. Clemson -15 versus Boston College. I think this is a bounce back week. I know I've said that the last 4 weeks, but I'm going with it. I also think this is an over 45. I think Clemson puts up numbers this game. Pitt -3.5 at Georgia Tech. I think Pitt could score, and I think this number is very coverable at a lot of points in the game, so I'll take it.
What's the over?
Next question.
Okay, I'll look it up because I like the over.
That might be a pick later.
Oh, damn. Okay, keep it rolling. I'll add it later. I'll add it later.
Stand by, Chuck.
Army -7.5 at Ball State. Love this game. This is almost going to be my lock, but I will not name the pick that is my lock yet. Indiana +13 at Penn State. Kansas at Iowa State under 58.
I saw it at 10.5. Wait, did you like write down a wrong number?
That's what it is today. I looked at these lines.
Penn State, Indiana's 13.5.
13.
I don't believe you.
You think I'm coming up? I'm just writing the lines that I find on my book.
I'm throwing the challenge flag. I'm looking on CBS Sports, so it might be different. No free ads. Okay, all right, fine. It's 12.5 on CBS Sports.
Okay,
I'll give you that.
+13. I think I said. I don't think I said 13.5. Kansas at Iowa State under 58. Kansas is pretty ass. Iowa State has a good defense. Western Michigan -6.5 at Buffalo. Western Michigan's not bad. Pitt should have beat them still, but they're not like a bad mid-major. Rutgers +15 versus Iowa State at home. I think they
Ohio State.
What did I say? Iowa State?
Right.
Yeah, Ohio State.
Yeah.
Are you glitching for? Oh, there we go. Sorry, you were glitching a bit. Now you're frozen.
Uh-oh.
I was. Okay. Yeah, my thing just said your internet connection's unstable. Up.
Uh-oh.
You see me now? Am I good?
We can hear you, but your screen's frozen.
So Western Michigan -6.5 at Buffalo. Western Michigan's a good mid-major. Rutgers
Any reason?
+15. They Pitt should have beat Western Michigan, but they showed a lot to me that game. Pitt was just played a terrible game. Rutgers +15 versus Ohio State. Rutgers kept it close against Michigan. I think they do the same here at home. Have a home boost. Big game for them. Boise State -6.5 versus Nevada at the Blue Turf. I know Nevada's used to the Blue Turf, but I can't bet against Boise State. They're good this year again, and they're on the Blue Turf. Cincy -2.5 at Notre Dame, under 50.5. Said those two already. Washington at Oregon State, under 56.5. Oregon -8 at Stanford. I don't think Stanford's very good. They have just played teams that are kind of fraudulent, so they have a couple wins. Ole Miss +14.5 at Bama, over 79.5. Georgia -18 versus Arkansas. Kentucky +8.5 versus Florida. I think Kentucky's very good. It's not at Florida, it's at Kentucky. I think Kentucky keeps it close. They might win, might take a money line. They're still not ranked yet for some reason. This is my favorite game of the week. Vandy -15 versus UConn.
My God.
So I think Vandy, UConn's going to go into this game thinking, oh, it's Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's a shit program. Vandy is going to come prepared to this game and beat the shit out of UConn because UConn is a way worse school than Vandy for football. So let's have better talent.
Letdown spot for UConn after a 2-point loss to Wyoming.
Yeah, I think they come into this high and not really that prepared. Vandy's an SEC school. I think they lay the I can't think of their expression. Lay the pipe down.
Lay the smack down on
Lay
the
the
candy
smack.
ass.
Yeah. Yes, to quote The Rock. I have Michigan +1 at Wisconsin on this card. I don't know why I put it on there. Fresno State.
Okay.
Fresno State -10 at Hawaii on the island. I think
love that pick. I'm
Fresno.
adding it.
And then Auburn LSU under. This one's I'm not scratch Auburn LSU. That game will be decided later. And that's my card.
Okay. Fair.
Very fair. I'll start off with Friday night picks. I'm going to stay away from the Maryland game. I think it's weird that they always have that big Friday night game, like every year. It feels like. Just going to stay away from it. I like the under 61.5 in the BYU Utah State game, which is it's just that weird Mormon game. I don't know. I don't think both teams are. I mean, I love BYU, as I've mentioned before in the show, but I think Utah State, it's a rivalry game, in-state Mormon game. They want to keep things low. Scoring 61.5 is very high. So under that, I already said Arkansas first half. I said Cincinnati -2.5. I'm staying away from West Virginia -7. I don't know, just feels weird. Texas Tech got their asses handed to them last week. I guess West Virginia's kind of down the dumps right now too. Just gonna stay away from that. Maybe I'll change my mind that day, but not to my card. Michigan +1. I like this one a lot. I like Missouri +1.5, probably +1.5, +2 first half against Missouri. Maybe that's a spiteful pick from last week because I hate Missouri now. But staying away from Duke, North Carolina, Texas. I love Texas -5 against TCU. TCU lost to SMU at home last week. I don't think TCU is that good. Texas, coming off a hot win. I think they go in 5 points. I already said Bama over, Ole Miss spread. I really like it, but I don't know why I feel this good about it because it kind of scares me. Oregon -4 first half. I think Stanford's obviously not good, but then they've been kind of, showing some light here. And Oregon, if they're that good, I like to think they can be up more than a touchdown against a team that is supposedly that bad. I got a lot of first half picks this week because I don't really like many of the spreads, but Oregon -4 first half. This is the game that I referred to about the night game or not, but it's not a night game. It's a 3:30 kickoff. Kansas State versus Oklahoma. I'm staying away out of this, but if it was that night game in Manhattan, that place would be going nuts. I would have taken them outright. Big Kansas State storm the field opportunity if that was a night game, but it's only a 3:30 game. 10.5 points.
Is that pick crowded by your sustain for what Oklahoma did last week in that close game against West Virginia?
Honestly, no. I just love Manhattan night fields, like night games for the biggest game of the year. I don't know why it's not the night game, but it honestly had nothing to do with last week's. But 10.5 points and Kansas State money line if it was a night game. I really wish it would have been, but 3:30, therefore staying away. Like Rutgers +15.5. I finally got my first Ohio State first half end game spread winners last week. It was insane. They were down 7-0 to start, and then the spread was 30.5 for first half. They won by 31 the first half. Incredible. Still covers second half. There's the first, but now that I got the win under the belt, now I'm going to go against some 15.5 Rutgers at home. Going to go with Syracuse +4.5. Sorry, Chuck. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm not going to
let down spot for Syracuse though.
It is. They kind of screwed over a lot of people over last week. Not myself, but
I will
Chuck,
say I do have Syracuse as well, man.
I personally didn't take it, but I know Syracuse hurt a lot of people last week that we were very close to. That sucked, but hey, I think they keep it rolling because Florida State stinks. This is the re-up from last week. Eastern Carolina +4 at home against the team that that's having a rough travel issue, you could say. I know you took Tulane -4.
Out of respect,
but it's not in Tulane, so I mean I don't know what you're respecting. I like
they're playing for a broken community right now, Fair.
They ain't doing too
It's
hot
a
with
me-
it then.
It's a mess down there.
It's a mess down
Had,
there.
Quote-
hadn't you heard?
To quote a close family friend of mine, it is a mess in fucking New Orleans.
See, I mean, I'm no weatherman, but I know a thing or two about that.
Oh,
Nonetheless, keep the train rolling here. Louisiana Tech, NC State. I like Louisiana Tech plus 19.5. Chuck, here's the reason why. Their quarterback is a name by Austin Kendall. Austin Kendall was the guy that was plus 10,000 who was West Virginia's quarterback. I
Oh
placed
my god.
Once
what team is this?
Louisiana Tech, he's been lighting it up for his extra year of eligibility because of COVID. He is lighting it up for Louisiana Tech. I love him. I love him. I love him against NC State. NC State's routing high from last week, plus
Ooh.
19.5.
Spread.
19
Plus
and a half.
19 and a
What's the
half.
over under?
I didn't even put that down. I don't know.
Oh, I want to bet this game now.
Yes, that's a lot.
B1,
I'm adding Louisiana Tech.
Louisiana Tech plus 19
Let's
is
go,
bet.
Chuck.
I'll add it out of
Let's go.
solidarity
Let's
to.
freaking go. I
Yeah.
love it. I just had to do it for that reason. Because it's a good nugget from a little throwback from my
Yes.
stupidities. Don't read every biased article you read online. That's what I learned. Then I had
Why
like I said
not to
earlier-
bet him to win the Heisman?
Well,
Was that
you
the
know,
excuse you said?
the article
the
said that
website told you to do it.
the article said he almost beat out Kyler Murray. It was like this close in the QB battle. That's what made me believe that he maybe could light up some sparkness with West Virginia that year, but obviously didn't happen. It's all right.
So is this guy like Tate Martell? He went from Oklahoma to West Virginia to Louisiana Tech, or was that
Yeah.
in high school?
I think he was so he might have been somewhere before Oklahoma too.
Oh my
could
He's
be
a
God.
wrong.
journeyman.
Well, that year that I took him to win the Heisman on West Virginia, he got benched halfway through the season. That's
That's
But
awesome.
And
I
you're
did,
taking
not,
his
I did not know
quarterback?
that's what
Wait.
ended up happening to this man.
yeah.
Wait, so this is at NC State.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Hey,
I don't know if I like this quarterback anymore. You got bench.
Remove it from my card. It's off
I-
my. I thought he like started for West Virginia and then left.
yeah, no, he got benched halfway through the season, and then
Out of solidarity to the ACC, I'm taking NC State minus 19 and a half. Add it to my card.
I sometimes I speak too much, it's a curse and a blessing sometimes. But to finish things up, I said I'd take Oklahoma State first half, probably -1.5, -2, and then over 54 in the LSU Auburn game, and then all I have is my lock of the week.
I will say this. I was thinking about this during your picks. It is very impressive that we do the show on Tuesdays and you're hitting at 57%.
Don't jinx this, Chuck.
There's there's something to be said for that sharpness this early in the week.
I'm getting scared. Because I really
Well, that's
do not
when you're
like-
the sharpest. When you don't think about it, you just fire picks off.
Whoa,
You,
whoa!
you see the opening spread, and you
I
just
put a lot of thought. I have a nugget for every game I pick. I put some thought in these.
what
picks.
that because the Louisiana Tech quarterback used to play West Virginia. That's your little nugget.
How is that not? And he almost beat out Kyler Murray.
That's your
starting
pick.
job.
Then he got benched to West Virginia.
Hey, it means
what,
something.
what are we doing here, Ferry?
And you know what? If NC State wins, you should thank me because that's a big win for you. Because then
Why
that
they need to
persuades-
win by 3 scores, Ferry.
Well, exactly. Okay, exactly my point here.
It
But-
does feel like a letdown spot though. Like
It-
there couldn't be a bigger letdown spot.
That's
Oh,
what
You
I'm
think
saying.
they
this
lose
week.
outright?
No, I think it's going to be a close game, but because of that, it's going to be a slow start. That's why it should be a close game because they're
Okay.
going to. But overall, I did not like really any of my picks because I think Vegas is now in full swing. I know Ben said the early podcast you're kind of hoping to catch your stride because you've seen all the teams, but Vegas has seen these teams too. Now they're ready to roll. That's what scares me.
I'm
with you, Ferry.
I'm a late October, November football kind of better. That's when I hit peaks then.
Fair enough.
Once you finally get a pumpkin spice latte on your lips, you start to roll
Mm.
Yeah.
right into the
Once I
gobbler
start-
from Wawa season.
Once I start carving pumpkins and eating gobblers, it's over.
All right. So Bama Ole Miss over 77.5, Ole Miss plus 14.5. I'm actually really mad at myself that I didn't bet Bama Ole Miss yesterday because it's going to get over 80 and I
It
might
is.
just do it.
It's 79 and a half right now.
So I'm probably going to bet it right after this show.
Same.
Ole Miss plus 14.5. Would it be cheeky to do a Ole Miss and over teaser?
The under teaser.
Like 21.5 and over 70.5. How does that lose?
It doesn't.
It's a low insurance.
It doesn't
It is,
lose.
true. I might bet this game 3 different ways then. Georgia minus 18.5. This is, I feel bad for Arkansas. Notre Dame plus 2.5. I have the money line, but we do against the spread here. Ohio State minus 15. I hate this pick a lot. This is in the category of Oklahoma where they might just be what they are, but I'm going to give them another chance this week. If they cover 15 against Rutgers, they might be turning the corner. Penn State minus 10.5 revenge spot against Indiana from last year.
That
At
game was
home,
nuts.
yeah, at home 7:30 kick. Feels like a big Penn State win. I will be in attendance, so I was going to bet that game regardless. Maryland plus 4. You guys started to sway me with Iowa, but I'm going to roll with it anyway. Appalachian State minus 10 at Georgia State. This feels like a letdown for Georgia State. And Appalachian State's a good football team.
Good home crowd.
It's at Georgia State. Is Georgia State a good home crowd? Or
That
you-
I don't
at
know.
Appalachian
We don't
State?
know. Probably not. We never heard of them.
I also thought, what the fuck? This thing just popped up on my screen. All right. Okay. Florida State minus 4.5. They're gonna win eventually this year. Kansas. It was almost my lock.
Godspeed, Chuck.
What?
Godspeed.
4.5.
It was not almost my lock, but yeah.
Weighing a lot of points with a winless team.
Yeah, no, that's accurate. But I'm gonna roll with it because Syracuse letdown spot after a Liberty win. Like Syracuse is one of those teams. They're a dome Northeast team. Like I can't see them surviving the hot Florida sun. Like it feels like
Okay.
one of those things where they might get caught. Like you're gonna see pictures of their players with like towels on the back of their neck to try to keep cool while they're losing 17-3 to Florida State in the second quarter. Kansas State plus 10.5 against Oklahoma. I just don't believe Oklahoma can cover a double-digit spread.
You know
In
what? I'm
conference.
adding that to my card. Kansas State.
Love it. Thank you. Nebraska minus 10.5 against Northwestern. Northwestern's really bad, and I think Nebraska might actually be good. Not good, but not
But
good as
decent.
in not
Compared
good as in
from-
record, but
Yeah.
good as in they
From
have
what we thought
yeah,
from week 0. Like
Right,
we
yeah.
thought, yeah.
exactly. Oregon minus 8 for the same exact reason Ferry said, or Ben, whoever said it.
We both.
You guys may have both
said
said
it.
it. Army minus 7.5 was an ad. Cincy, Notre Dame under 50.5. Feels like a rock fight. It's going to take place. Fresno minus 10. Texas Tech plus 7. That seems like a weird line. If Texas Tech lost by 20, I also wouldn't be surprised, but I'm going to take this anyway. And the Georgia Tech Pitt over whatever Ben says it is because it's his lock. I will have that down.
It's not
because
my lock.
What? It's not?
Maybe it is.
Okay.
And my Shyamalan in the cup here.
I'll start with lock. LSU minus 3.5, unranked, home favorite against
System
ranked
play.
conference opponent. Yeah, system play. Ben.
My lock is over 56 in the Pitt Georgia Tech game. Let me just
That's so low.
let me just throw out some stats for you guys
right.
about Pitt.
There we go.
football. Pitt has played UMass, New Hampshire,
Mhm.
Tennessee, and Western Michigan. The two non-dog shit teams they played, UMass and New Hampshire, they put up around 67 points on average. Against the two actual teams they played, both teams put up on average like 40 points a game, and Pitt failed to score beneath 40 points this whole season. So by the numbers, this should definitely hit by a lot. So that's my reasons for taking this pick.
I like it.
I like it, yeah.
All right, Ferry.
My lock of the week is Purdue minus 2.5. Minnesota stinks out loud. Purdue at
I
home.
like that
Oof.
pick. I
Mhm.
thought about putting that on my card. I never did.
Yep. Minnesota stinks. They can't seem to score the football. I think Purdue wins at home minus 2.5.
I'm adding it. I love that pick.
I'm
Let's go.
adding it too. I was thinking about that pick before this.
I think I'm going to start doing a locks parlay on this show.
Let's roll.
So I'll do
I will too.
Purdue minus 2.5, Georgia Tech Pitt over 56, and LSU.
Oh, I
minus
can't do
3.5.
your. Oh wait, yours isn't Florida State. What was yours?
LSU.
Okay, I can roll with it.
That will also be, and this is like behind the curtain for the 8 viewers that we have. I'm not gonna, if LSU swings to like even or something, I hate that game. But like them being minus 3.5 right now, that's why I like it. With systems, you gotta,
Yeah.
like Wisconsin -1 is not really a system play.
No. It's not.
So, all right. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up week 5?
I got nothing.
You got nothing,
Pitt.
Ben? Go Pitt, H2P. When we come back next week, we will be discussing how we're going to have to watch Notre Dame in the college football playoff again because they are running the table.
Here we go.
All right. That is a college football pick'em week 5. We're all going, I say this every week, we're all going above 500 this week.
Hell yeah, we are.